Max Verstappen may have signed with Mercedes, or potentially, getting Christian Horner out of the team was the only way to stop Max Verstappen from signing with their rivals. Christian Horner, the man who transformed Red Bull Racing from an energy drink marketing experiment into Formula One royalty, was gone. Not retiring, not stepping aside. Fired. Adrian Newey, the aerodynamic genius who designed every Red Bull championship-winning car, had already announced his departure. Jonathan Wheatley, the sporting director who orchestrated their race strategies, was heading to Audi. But here's where it gets really interesting. Red Bull are firing Helmut Marko. Yep, this week, Red Bull are firing someone other than Sergio Perez. Helmut Marko, Red Bull's 81-year-old motorsport advisor and the iron fist behind their driver program, suddenly found himself under a gag order. The man known for his brutally honest assessments and controversial comments was told by Red Bull's Austrian headquarters to stop talking to the media. Fix this mess or we lose Max. Think about that for a moment. Marko had been with Red Bull since day one. He'd discovered Vettel, nurtured Verstappen, and built the most ruthless driver academy in motorsport. Now he was being muzzled like a rookie who'd spoken out of turn. The old guard wasn't just changing, it was being systematically dismantled. Marko tried to put on a brave face about Laurent Mekies' appointment. Laurent's varied activities, including later at the FIA and Ferrari, mean that he has everything he needs to lead a top team with an expert hand, he said in one of his final public statements. But between the lines, you could sense the uncertainty. This wasn't the Red Bull he'd helped build. Picture this. Max Verstappen had just clinched his fourth consecutive world championship. Red Bull seemed untouchable. And then, boom, everything started crumbling. The official statement was cold, clinical. They thanked Horner for his tireless and exceptional work, and that was it. No explanation. No farewell tour. Nothing. Just emptiness where the team principal's office used to buzz with activity. The timing couldn't have been more shocking. Here was a team that had dominated Formula One like few others in history. Under Horner's watch, they turned Sebastian Vettel into a four-time champion between 2010 and 2013, then repeated the magic with Verstappen from 2021 onwards. But beneath the champagne celebrations and victory laps, something dark was brewing. The whispers had started earlier in 2024. Allegations of inappropriate behavior surfaced against Horner, claims he vehemently denied. An internal investigation cleared him, but the damage was done. The shadow of scandal hung over the team like storm clouds before a race. Some say it was the beginning of the end. Others point to October 2022, when Red Bull co-founder Dietrich died, leaving a power vacuum that would eventually swallow Horner whole. Bernie Ecclestone, the former F1 Supremo who'd seen it all in his decades running the sport, was stunned. It's as if Horner had murdered someone, he said, his voice carrying the weight of genuine shock. When Bernie Ecclestone is surprised by Formula One politics, you know something seismic has happened. Into this chaos stepped Laurent Mekies, promoted from Racing Bulls to become Red Bull Racing's new CEO. The Frenchman brought credentials from the FIA and Ferrari, but he was walking into a hurricane. The team wasn't just losing its leader, it was hemorrhaging talent at an alarming rate. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen watched all of this unfold with growing concern. The triple world champion had a contract through 2028. But contracts in Formula One are worth about as much as yesterday's weather forecast when performance clauses kick in. And buried in Verstappen's deal was a crucial detail. If Red Bull fell to fourth in the Constructors' Championship, certain exit options would activate. Guess where Red Bull sat as the chaos unfolded? Fourth place, trailing McLaren by a staggering 288 points. Verstappen himself was 69 points behind championship leader Oscar Piastri. The Dutch driver, who'd grown accustomed to winning by massive margins, was suddenly fighting for scraps. Marko, in a moment of candor before his enforced silence, admitted the gravity of the situation. Improvements have to come in the near future so that he has a car with which he can win again, he said. The Mercedes rumors started almost immediately. George Russell, whose contract was up for renewal, made cryptic comments about how the ongoing situation was influencing his decision. Toto Wolff, Mercedes team principal and master of mind games, simply smiled when asked about Verstappen. In Formula One, silence often speaks louder than denials. The technical challenges facing Red Bull only compounded their problems. The 2026 regulations were looming: new engines, new aerodynamic rules, a complete reset of the competitive order. Red Bull had partnered with Ford for their power unit project. But without Newey's design brilliance, and with a fractured leadership structure, how could they possibly maintain their edge? This wasn't just about losing races. This was about watching an empire crumble in real time. Sponsorship deals worth hundreds of millions hung in the balance. The team's valuation, once soaring on the back of their dominance, faced potential freefall. In the cutthroat world of Formula One, where success is measured in tenths of seconds and millions of dollars, Red Bull was hemorrhaging both time and money. The human cost was even more dramatic. These weren't just employees leaving. These were the architects of a dynasty. Horner had been there since 2005, when Red Bull bought Jaguar Racing and everyone laughed at the energy drink company playing with race cars. He'd proven them all wrong, building something that challenged Ferrari and Mercedes at their own game. Now, as the Belgian Grand Prix approached, Red Bull faced their first race weekend under new leadership. Makeys would have to steady a ship that was taking on water from every direction. The garage dynamics, usually so precise and confident, felt different. Engineers who'd worked under Horner for decades suddenly answered to a new boss. Mechanics wondered if their jobs were safe. Even the drivers seemed unsettled. Sergio Perez, Verstappen's teammate, found himself in an even more precarious position. Already under pressure for underperforming, he now lacked Horner's protection. The Mexican driver knew that in times of upheaval, the weakest links get cut first. But perhaps the most telling sign of Red Bull's transformation came from the paddock itself, where once other teams looked at